Paschadya Dehi Tarine. So maybe we could start today's gathering with a question. Why do anything? Why? Like, why do we do whatever we do? Why? Can someone give me an answer? What is worth doing? Why do we do what we do? To serve. That's a beautiful answer. To serve. To serve. To love. To be happy. To feel. To experience. To be fulfilled. To be fulfilled. These are beautiful, beautiful answers. Obviously, you're very thoughtful, deep people. Yeah? To live. To live. To solve problems. To solve problems. It's connected to service. Service. Autopilot, we just do something because life is happening. There's no why, it just is. You feel that way? You're feeling that if you think about it too much, you become in your head trapped in It's nature. It's nature. It's just acting according to its nature. Sometimes we do things to avoid pain. That's interesting. Interesting. Sometimes they say in the material world, actually what we consider pleasure is actually just the momentary relief from difficulty. Like right now I'm having my voice after singing and singing my voice. If I was to get my voice back, I'd be so happy. But it's like, that's just normal, right? Normal. But I'm full of joy. It's interesting. So this perennial question, there's a famous book by Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. Thank you. Has anyone heard of this book? So kind of Viktor Frankl says that if you have a why, you can go through any difficulty. And I don't think he's talking about the why in the head. He's talking about like a heart's intention, So achieving and success, it's a fascinating thing because so many people achieve but are unfulfilled. And success is such a funny thing because if you look at one aspect of someone's life, they can be highly successful. And you look at another aspect and they're a total failure. Like sometimes as a traveling musician, I have to remind myself, maybe I'm not singing in front of millions of people. Like Taylor Swift, they're measuring her concerts on the Richter scale. Have you heard about this before? And it's like the earth is moving to the beat of a Taylor Swift song. So maybe I'm not having that. But I've only been married once, and I have 3 kids, and my wife and I are still together. You get my point. My point is how am I judging my success? Somehow or other, through all the difficulties of life, we manage to hold on, we're holding on. That's a success also, right? So there's this famous story of Sri Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya is there at the center of this beautiful gathering here. Sri Chaitanya is a very mysterious figure, actually, because some people see him in different ways. So I recently took a course from Oxford Center for Hindu Studies, which is, if you want a little detour, life is quite fascinating. I barely graduated high school. I was so done with my report, I'm speaking to my friend Sri Balad, who's a professor, my report card in high school was, Gaura asks great questions, fully engaged, loves the subject matter, a pleasure to have in class, D. It's like that. Because I was really keen on learning, but I just felt like I was I felt like I was in school for so many hours. They had me why do I need to do more now? You guys had me for 8 hours or whatever, now I got to do other things, Oh, no worries. We were all kids once. So Sri Chaitanya is a fascinating figure because, somehow or other, I recently took this course from Oxford University, and it was about the history of this tradition. You took this course too, Bhattacharya Prabhu. It's a lovely course, isn't it? Prahlad, you took this course. So one of the fascinating things about Sri Chaitanya is the historical importance to the whole nation of India and subsequently the world is directly connected to Sri Chaitanya. It's quite fascinating. What's extra fascinating about that is that he also brought what's called the Yuga Dharma. Who here doesn't know what a yuga is? Yuga, okay. A yuga, someone tell us what is a yuga? It's like an epoch of time. And one fascinating thing about Western wisdom versus Indian wisdom is, in the West you have a beginning, they call it the Big Bang or whatever, and then you have stuff that happens in the middle, and then time is marching towards an end or something. In Christianity it's the resurrection or whatever, it's linear, right? Vedic time is cyclical. And things, though they happen in patterns, they're always a little different and unique each time. So there's patterns, but there's also uniquenesses that all these stories, they happen a little differently each time. Isn't that fascinating? So sometimes Vedic wisdom has to be understood from within the tradition. If you look at it from a Western perspective, it's just a little bit of it's like comparing apples to oranges. I guess they're fruit or whatever. But they're so different, right? So Sri Chaitanya brought a Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma means in the first cycle of time, Satya, it was meditation, and these hills were the home of all the great sages and yogis, and they would withdraw their senses from the world and turn their senses inward. And they would search for the divine within, holding their breath, senses withdrawn. My Guru Radhanath Swami tells a funny story that he was visiting one yogi in a cave here in the Himalayas. He's like, what's going on? He's like, disco, in the cave, with the yogi. And he's like, the yogi starts running around, and the Radhanath Swami's like, what is going on? How come there's a disco in the cave? And then he starts pulling out bags of incense and sticks and this and that and garments and whatever. He's like, what is? And in the bottom, everything was a cell phone. This was the ringtone of the yogi's cell phone. So the days of being able to peacefully meditate without distraction, those days are long gone. right? Even in a cave, a yogi's got to deal with. It was like his phone for getting calls, urgent calls from other yogis. Like it was like. So then the next great age, Treta Yuga, and it was Homa, fire sacrifice. And they would gather the purest elements of the earth, whatever they could find in the most pure form. And they would pray and offer it into the fire as like the mouth of the divine. But now it's like, many of you may be vegan. It's a very, seen as a very conscious and aware food practice in the world today. So much violence connected with milk. The milk and dairy industry are so, how do you have a cow that's milking? Well, she just had a baby. Well, 50% chance the baby's a man. So if it's a man, it's like, let's just look this way, the cow goes that way, and we keep milking. Like, we don't want to know, we don't think about it, right? But in the Vedic times, even the dung of the cow was used for making sacred fire, incense. You build a building like this only from ox power. I can't lift these beams, right? So then you get a strong ox and he's pulling with the pulley system and we're lifting and we're going. This is how agriculture, society, all is on the power of a bull, right? The father, the bull. So veganism is seen as very conscious, but in the ancient times, milk and everything connected to the cow was considered the highest, the pinnacle of culture. Ghee, milk, yogurt, food for the soul and the body. Now, if you try and do a fire sacrifice, you buy the milk from a shop. If a cow is lovingly giving milk to you because you care for her, that milk is the most nourishing substance. But if you're torturing her, is it like poison? I don't know, what do you give someone who's hating you, who's torturing you? Do you give them love, or do you there's this argument is there, what are we drinking from a cow that we've tortured? Right? This is why people are vegan in the world. So how can you offer these pure substances into the fire? These days are long. Even in America, you have to look through all the milk, you're looking for something with no fish in it, right? Because vitamin D, you need more vitamin D. I don't want fish. Can I just have milk, please? So these days of yagyas and homas, those days are gone. Then in Dwapara Yuga, it was puja in the temple, grand ceremonies and worship of the deities. But ritual purity and all these things, it's very, very difficult to maintain these standards where, the deity form in a temple is considered non-different than the divine. So from a Western perspective, it's a piece of stone. How is God in the source of the sun and the moon and the spinning planets and gravity and is a stone idol? This makes no logical sense from a Western analytical perspective. Forgive me. But Srila Prabhupada, he used to make the analogy, you can go visit an embassy for a country, and when you step onto the embassy land, it's not in India, it's in New York. But when you step on the embassy land, you're in India. Even the local government, you're in India. It's India. Why is it India? Where it's the ambassador comes, to a function. The ambassador, you treat him as if he's the king. He's just the ambassador, but he is the king because he's the representative of the king. The king has endowed him with that. So in that same way, through ritual, through prayer, the divine is invited into this form, which is made of substance, but by the choice of the Lord, he is in that place. It is the spiritual world. It is the Lord. He is chosen to be reciprocated with through this, just like a post box, right? I can put a box next to my house, but I won't get mail. It has to be ordained by the post office. So in that same way, through prayer and ritual, the divine is invited into a form that we can offer our loving exchange. And then that is received through the post box of the deity. But this ritual purity and these things, it's become like very, very hard to maintain. And people have lost so much faith. So now in this age, Sri Chaitanya has brought the Yuga Dharma of Nam Sankirtan, just singing divine names. Singing divine names. So he actually created an amazing revolution in India that's now being felt all over the world. You know, Bhattahari Prabhu, where were you born? He was born in the sacred land of Iowa. Lord Chaitanya never set foot in Iowa. But Lord Chaitanya's Vani has reached Iowa and Kansas and, you know, Berlin and, you know, Arkansas, Singapore. That through the holy name. And you don't need any qualification because the Lord is in the name. Sound is extremely powerful. Even material sound. I don't know, some of you may have remembered I told the story of Bugs Bunny. Does anyone remember this story? A couple of you? You don't remember the story? You remember the story of Bugs Bunny? Yeah. No, you guys don't remember the story of Bugs Bunny? Okay, I gotta tell you the story. Material sound is very powerful. What to speak of spiritual sound? One teacher, he says, mantra is spiritual energy encased in a sound structure, right? It's not sound. It's like a pill. It's like if you go and get an empty pill and you take it, you don't get better. But if you put medicine inside the capsule, you become better. It's not the capsule, right? It's the energy imbued inside. Mantra is spiritual sound and a spiritual energy, the spiritual world actually in a sound capsule, right? We can perceive the sound. In fact, one of my favorite things, I quote you all the time, Bhattahari Prabhu, I asked him once, what do I say if people say to me, all this chanting, who's seen the Lord? I want to know someone who's seen Krishna. We have all this chanting and chanting. Show me someone who's seen Krishna face to face. If he's real and you're chanting, there's a famous story. Islam, they have a similar story. A man's chanting all night, Allah, Allah, Allah. And they do this zikr. Allah, Muhammad, Chariyar, Allah. They just do it like all night. They'll chant like this. So his neighbor was like sick of it. His neighbor came on the door. He wakes up in the morning. He's been chanting all night. He barely slept. He says, yo, how are you? So? He says, what do you mean, so? He said, where is he? Where's who? He's like, where's who? He says, Allah. He's like, what do you mean? I don't know. Like everywhere? What are you asking? Last night you were calling and calling and calling. Where is Allah? So now I've come to meet him. Obviously, he must have come. And the man actually, he really got disturbed. And his friend, and his friend left. And actually he started to kind of like cry in his heart. I did call all night. And why didn't Allah come? Like he started feeling some sadness and loss of faith, a little bit of like a doubt in his heart. And then he had a dream where this character they call Kidar. I'm not a scholar of Islam, but it's something like Paramatma. It's like some sort of like inner guide who's directly connected to the Lord. It's a spirit. Paramatma, I think Paramatma, something like Paramatma. The voice of the divine from within that's resonating. He came and he said, how do you know if a dog loves his master and if that love is reciprocated? If the dog is crying when the master leaves, it's a sign of the relationship. Your cry is proof of the presence. You may not perceive him, but that crying itself is the reciprocation. It's proof. So Bhattahari Prabhu, I said, what do I say if people ask this? Do you remember me asking you this? I quote this all the time. It's so funny. Bhattahari Prabhu was his kirtan was so filled with love, wasn't it? I mean, Bhattahari Prabhu just takes us on the wings of divine song. So he said, actually, even if Krishna was right here, we actually don't have the eyes to see. Our eyes are attracted to this material world, and they're only seeing through this dimension. If Krishna was here, even historically, when Krishna chose to descend to this world, many people, they didn't recognize him. They just thought he's like some prince or some handsome guy or whatever. Even while he's speaking Bhagavad Gita, so many of the soldiers and the warriors and the chieftains and the generals, they just thought, let's get to battle. What are these guys talking? And they didn't see the magic. So he said, but through the power of sacred sound, we can see the Lord with our ears. How many of us have had the experience where in Kirtan we see something else that is more than just like adrenaline or like fun? We were talking in the car, Ankit and I were talking. In Kirtan, you look around and you see with the eyes of love. He said, I've never seen an ugly person in Kirtan. Surely ugly people also must come. But Kirtan touches your eyes and you see everyone with a different set of eyes. So Bhattahari Prabhu said, you can see with your ears. You can see the Lord with your ears. And it's quite fascinating because physiologically, hearing is the last sense to go. Someone can be in a coma and it can be drawn out simply by sound, by speaking with them. They'll come back to life. And that's one of the reasons why in this tradition of bhakti, we are actually sing to them so that their last moments are filled with divine sound. And actually it becomes something between a celebration and a send-off and a prayer. It's quite amazing if you ever get to attend someone's kirtan as they're leaving this world. Isn't it? Ever had that experience? So, Sachinandan Swami, he says, a word, material word can change millions of lives. What one material word can change? At the beginning of a great war, someone will say, charge. Millions of lives lost, right? This is what happened in the beginning of World War II. Charge. Millions of lives lost. It's one word. It's just like a word. Someone says go. And then destruction that lasts generations. Or another example is after many, many, many years, someone may turn to you and say, I love you. It's just words. It's just sound. I love you. Right? It's just sound. Now, when you imbue that sound with spiritual energy, it transcends the material world. Actually, our understanding is that if you're stuck in a well, you're not going to get out through your own devices. If you've fallen down the well, chances are like you broke your leg or something. You're down there, it's maybe wet and stony, and you're crying out. Someone from outside the well has to help you. And this is the understanding with spiritual knowledge. Actually, it's not, what does Jesus say in the Bible? Through one's works alone, you cannot achieve the kingdom of God. No, that's an interesting quote, though. No, he says, it is not through one's own works that one can achieve the kingdom of God. Like, in other words, some other thing has to come. It's not just through your effort. Grace has to be attracted. So, in bhakti, our understanding is we cry out from our heart of hearts and best magnify it with other bhaktas. Call out, cry out, and attract that divine intercession and grace in our lives. And then that grace descends from the spiritual realm to us. Bhattahari Prabhu's, if you compared Bhattahari Prabhu's voice to India's Got Talent or whatever, I don't think he would make the cut. But what bliss do we get from hearing Bhattahari Prabhu sing verses, Nimura, Nimura, Nimura? Oh, what is it? How many times can you hear that? It's earworm, get that thing out of my head, I always joke that I'm going to be on my deathbed singing commercials for cars. America, they love selling cars, The heartbeat of America is today's Chevrolet. No. No. Come back, and my next life is like a rubber tree and used as a tire for a car. Cry out. Cry out. So Sri Chaitanya taught us how to do that. I'm hoping today, these few moments that we have together, that all of you can take one thing away from our time, which is a curiosity to learn a little bit more about Sri Chaitanya. My friend Vish is an amazing musician, mutual friend of all ours. We always do these workshops, learn to play the mridanga, learn to play harmonium, learn to sing. And it's people come for an afternoon, and then you have to break for lunch, and there's an evening session, and you gotta break for dinner, and then maybe there's a morning session. They're supposed to learn how to play the mridanga in 4 hours. Forget it, you're never gonna but we try, sing a song, whatever. Right, to do that, you have to immerse yourself, You really have to spend a lot of time and put the practice in, right? So I'm not going to be able to give you anything valuable in this short time today, actually. But if I could instill in you a little curiosity to learn a little bit more about Sri Chaitanya, that would be a very great gift. Yuga Dharma. Yuga Dharma. What is Dharma? I heard a beautiful explanation about Dharma from our friend Janavi. The Dharma of water is the flow, right? Water. That's what it does. It flows to the lowest place, whatever. Water flows. Whatever you throw it at a wall, it's going to flow down the wall, right? Water is what it does. But you take it out of its natural situation, and it becomes different. It becomes hard like a rock, right? But as soon as you bring it back into its normal, a little bit of sunshine, right? And in an unnatural state, actually, water can crack a stone. You put water into a crack of a stone and then freeze. It becomes so different. It'll actually shatter the stone. Our natural position, who we are, what is it? What is our Dharma? Yuga Dharma. What is Dharma? Our natural position is to serve. Who says serve? Serve. It's natural for the soul to want to serve. But who are we serving? The time of Sri Chaitanya, there were two brothers. And, India at this time was ruled by the Mughals. If you wanted to be successful, you had to work for the Mughals, no matter where you came from. It's kind of like today, everyone goes to Dubai. It's like, gotta go to Dubai, make some cash, that's what we gotta do. Right? So at that time, it was like the only thing. So one of these brothers, he was the prime minister of the kingdom of Gaur. And the other one was like the interior ministers and the secretary of state. Not treasure. So prime minister and home minister, something like this. They ran the whole kingdom for this Muslim king. And they became multi-billionaires. Everyone's heard of Elon Musk. Well, there was a time when he was just a random guy. And now he's like the wealthiest human in the world, right? The wealthiest human on the planet. That's a lot of money. But these two brothers, they met Sri Chaitanya, and famously the question they asked to Sri Chaitanya is, anyone who already knows, don't answer. What question did they ask Sri Chaitanya? Two of the wealthiest humans on the planet at the time, influential, powerful. What question did they ask this saint that they met, Sri Chaitanya? You have everything. They had so much money that they would measure it in boatloads of gold coins. That's how they would measure their money. What question would they ask this great avatar saint? Ke ami? Who am I? I don't know who I am. Like, am I this? Am I that? Am I my body? Am I my job? Am I my race? Am I my place, where I come from? Who am I? Who am I? Ke ami? Who am I? Such a fundamental question. And so honest of them to ask this, who am I? Am I my status? Am I a musician? Am I American, right? What makes me who I am? Prabhupada used to say, I hand? No, my hand. Okay, my hand, my foot. Not I foot, my foot. My chest, my head, my ears. Okay, my. But where's me? I've gone through every part of my body, but I've never found me. So where is me inside this meat suit? Where is me? Where's me? I've gone through every part, but still I'm me. I brain know my brain, right? I mind know my mind, right? Where's me? Who am I? And Sri Chaitanya said, Jiver Swarupa Hoy, the soul's eternal dharmic nature is to be a loving servant of the divine. In other words, we will never be happy until we accept that we are the loving servant of the divine. So many people, they're so bitter because of the way they've been treated by others that they think, after this life, maybe we just annihilate into nothingness. Because it's better than the heartbreak that I've received in this world. The mistreatment, the heart, all the difficulties of this world. Must be, we just annihilate into nothingness. There is no God, there is no me. Finally, peace, nothingness. But that's not what Sri Chaitanya says. Das, servant. Swarup, that's your form, that's your identity. And actually, if we lovingly, selflessly serve, who here has ever served out a big feast? Served a big feast. What happens if you're hungry when you start serving a feast? Are you still hungry afterwards? It's mystical. You actually become full. Giving and giving and giving. If you don't believe it, try it. Afterwards, you'll take like a bite of something. Isn't it, Prahlad? You cook a big feast, you serve it, and you're just like, actually, you barely need anything because you're satiated by service. And it brings us ananda. Let's sing a little bit. So, Hari is a name for the divine. Hari. Everyone say Hari. And we can say bol. Bol is like a fun word. It's like bada bing, boom, bang, bol. As they say in the Bible, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Bol, like bang a drum, sing a song, boom, bang, bing, bol. Hari, bol. Hari, bol. Hari, bol. In the Krishna movement, you'll see around the world, someone will like, how are you doing today? And they'll say, Hari bol. Are you hungry? Hari bol. Like everything's Hari bol. Like, that was a good kirtan. Hari bol. You're losing your voice. Hari bol. Like everything's Hari bol, you know. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord. Hari bol. So we say, bol, Hari bol. And then we say Ananda. What is this ashram called? What does Ananda mean? Bliss, bliss, bliss. The soul is made up of 3 divine substances, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. If you annihilate into nothingness, do you have Ananda? You have like, I don't know what you got, but you ain't got no Ananda. Ananda is what I feel when I sit up there and I see everyone like singing, dancing. Like you and I, this young lady, you and I were both watching him dance. And I saw you watching him dance. And you were giving us so much joy watching you dance. We were feeling Ananda watching you dance in Badari Prabhu's Kirtan. Ananda. Seth Clarinet took you there. Seth Clarinet, it's powered by Ananda. Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol, Bol Hari Bol. Ananda bolo Hari Bol, Hari Bol. One of my favorite moments in Kirtan is when everyone shyly sings for the first time. I feel like everyone's giggling. Oh, Ananda. Ananda bolo, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Ananda bolo, Hari Bol. Ananda bolo, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Ananda bolo, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Oh, Ananda Bolo, Haribo, Haribo. Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo. Give us a little bit of that Ananda clarinet. Bol Haribo, 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 Bol Haribo. Bol Haribo, Ananda, 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 Nityananda, Nityananda, Gauranga, Gauranga, Nityananda, 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 Gauranga, Gauranga, Nityananda. Oh, Bol Haribo, Bol Hari, Bol Haribo, everyone. Bol Haribo. Bol, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo. Oh, Ananda Bolo Haribo, Haribo. Ananda Bolo Haribo. Together. Ananda Bolo Haribo. Haribo. Everyone. Ananda Bolo Haribo. Haribo. One more time. Ananda Bolo Haribo, Haribo. Ananda Bolo Haribo, Haribo. Ananda Bolo Haribo, Haribo. Oh, Ananda Bolo Haribo, Haribo. Oh, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo, Bol Haribo. Bol Haribo. Oh, Bol Haribo. Oh, Bol Hari Bol, 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 Bol Hari Bol. So I was having a really bad day one day. I was just like, what am I doing? Do I believe in Krishna? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, this material world, so much, like, everything's so crazy. Like, what, God is this blue guy? Like, I don't know, this whole thing's so crazy. It's like a flute and dancing. It's like, look around, there's a world of people, like, investment brokers and policemen and like, it's like, I don't know. What do I believe? And I went to this movie called Doctor Strange. You seen this movie, the first one, Doctor Strange? So I was in the movie theater and I was watching Doctor Strange. I was just spacing out, having one of those bad, whatever. Kali Yuga day. And there's this scene where he gets like Shakti Pat from this like bald white lady in the Himalayas. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know why she's white, whatever. She gives him like Shakti Pat. And he sees like this whole crazy thing. You seen the movie? Has anyone seen it? Okay, now you'll watch the movie and you'll be like, ah. Anyway, boom. He sees everything totally differently. And it's like, I'm an artist. It was like, whoa. This crazy thing, like these, like, you ever seen The Art of Alex Gray? This is like all this stuff, and I just thought, wow, this whole crazy thing came from the mind of one animator, just like a guy, probably like living in LA, maybe he likes surfing, like whatever. This one random guy made this whole crazy universe in this movie. And I just thought about the vastness of inner space of one man, right? Each of us has that magnified times billions, right? Inner space of one artist. He's creating this whole, just inside of his brain. And then I thought, and outside is this like immense universe filled with creatures we don't know or understand. In the vastness of everything, this one man's creating this, and here I am, another creature perceiving this. And I just thought, this whole thing is nuts. I'm like made of what? Some stardust from and here I am observing myself, observing this guy, observing the thing. I was like, okay, something definitely is going on. I don't know what's going on. And I just thought, how is it? In the vastness of everything, I'm a person. It's a total miracle. I could be like a pile of dung, I don't know. I'm a person with consciousness. Think about it. What are the chances in just pure mathematical, numbers that I am a conscious person in the vastness of everything? It's completely impossible. And I was just sitting there going, okay, if I'm a person and I'm nothing and nobody, why do I have such a problem with the idea that God could be a person? I can be a person and have all these feelings and things, but hey, God, take it easy. Like, you're a thing or like whatever, an energy, but don't try and be a person. I'm a person. You don't be a person. And I just thought, oh, that's ridiculous. Of course God could be a person. I'm a loving person. Why can God not be a loving person? I can have something God can't have. I can have these relationships with my family and likes and dislikes and share food with my friends and dance and whatever, but not God. So why do I have such a problem with this, So then I just, in the movie theater, I made a prayer to Krishna. And I said, Krishna, in the vastness of all eternity and existence in all time, if ever you are a person, even for a fragment of a moment, I would like to have a relationship with you. I would like to know you. And then from there, I kind of started pulling that gap in my doubt, in my faith that I had created. And now basically every day I try and just like tug on that a little more, you know. Sri Chaitanya is said to be Radha, divine feminine, Radha, and Krishna, divine masculine, in one person. What? Supreme, beloved, absolute truth, for the sake of Leela and love, as divided into two, Radha and Krishna. Remember I talked about Western view versus Indian view? Like in Western time, it's like hierarchical, like first there's this, and then there's this. But we're talking about infinity. Is the one God first or the Radha and Krishna? It doesn't matter because there's no first. It's infinite. One divides into two for the sake of loving exchange. It's irrelevant. Time is irrelevant when you're talking about this. One divides into two. And then they come back together as one to share this Yuga Dharma of chanting. So when we come tonight or whenever and we're dancing and singing, please know you are a divine revolutionary who is transforming the substance of reality itself by simply raising your arms in the air and singing from your heart. You're doing the most incredible thing. And I'll end with this. My teacher Radhanath Swami was in the airport in India, and a famous Indian politician who, I'm not going to say her name, she said, "May I speak with you, Swami?" So they sat together in the airport. Hello, hello, hello. Swami, do you know what the problem with India is right now, in my opinion? Holy people like you. She's like a provocateur. I don't know if she believes that this is like her shtick. Why? Because you have so many followers and you're making them chant and meditate. Go clean up India. There's so much trash and plastic and this and that, pollution. Go clean up India, sitting around meditating. It's a waste of time. Go do something. So Radhanath Swami's like, what am I supposed to say? You know, this powerful lady. He's just like, he just sees himself as like this very, very small guy. So he said, I prayed to Srila Prabhupada, I prayed to Lord Chaitanya to give me something. And he said, if you and I go and we gather everyone and we clean up India today, tomorrow it will be polluted. Why? Because we're not attacking the root, we're just dealing with the symptom. Why is India polluted? Because our hearts are polluted, actually. We have to do the work to change our hearts. Actually, this material world is being co-created by us and Krishna together. He is facilitating our desires. We look around and think, I don't want any of this. I have my desires, my selfish desires. And then he has his, and he has his, and you have it, and pretty soon it's just like war and pestilence and disease. It's just so much selfishness, battling against other selfishness. There is my kids are now going to college, and they're learning, and they're getting like wise, and they're seeing the suffering of the world. And I tell them, your dharma is to try and help the world and do something. But never make the mistake of thinking that there is a material solution to a spiritual problem. You have to do the work yourself. Last thing I'll say, Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita 2:24 is, has anyone seen the Bhagavad Gita translated and commented by Srila Prabhupada? It's called As It Is. It's such a great book. I highly recommend it. Some books are good and they meet you where you are. This book will lift you up. I'm telling you, there's not that many books in the world that can do that. It'll lift you up to another dimension, pull you above the clouds. Bhagavad Gita, As It Is. Why does he call it As It Is? He just takes Krishna's words. And all the commentaries are there from all the saints and the sages throughout time, gathered for you to look at. You can look directly at Krishna's words, translation, and then if you want, you can see all the comments from the sages. So in 224, you guys can find it. It's Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagna, Brahmanata. You can find this verse, famous verse. Basically, the verse says it's all Brahman. Everything is Brahman. The fire is Brahman. The offering into the fire is Brahman. The person offering, the results, everything is all divine. Everything, all of it. So then Prabhupada asked the question, so if everything is divine, what is the question of material? If everything is divine, why do I have to do anything? This is back to the question in the beginning. Why do anything? It's already divine. Why do anything? It is what it is. I'm just going to chill all day long. Prabhupada's collecting from the saints. They say, the divine, perceived through a lens of selfishness, is matter. And if you can remove the veil of selfishness and see not for one's own pleasure, but actually try to see things in relationship to the divine, it regains its original spiritual nature. This is spiritual alchemy. I swear to you, it works. Any situation you're in, if you just think, hold on 1 second, how can I take away my selfish perspective in this situation and see it? Jivar Swarupahoy Nitya Krishna Das. I am an eternal loving servant, so let me use this situation to serve the Lord. Whatever situation you're in, it will regain its original spiritual nature. Spiritual alchemy. You'll experience it. You'll experience it. Would you like to add anything, Balari Prabhu? Ananda. Very, very grateful for your attention, your time. You are spiritual revolutionaries. Please, it's urgent. This politician was right. There is an urgency. There is an urgency. Please, let's take this very seriously. And the most important thing of anything, I might get kicked out of the festival for saying this, even more important than chanting the holy name, is caring for each other